He says you have to watch party on for your friends. That's what I said. He said beyond that is like ish.
Okay.
So maybe just say we get
Okay, do you want me to, do you want them to share during council business, or do you want them to share before they do? Okay.
Well, we don't really have
well, we didn't. We were gonna have to add it. And then there's no security after that. Okay, I think it is.
Yeah, you're 531.
Good evening. Every time. And you jump every time. He looks at me, I hit the gavel, and he jumps. So loud. I'd like to call the meeting, the March 18th, 2025 meeting of the Logan Municipal Council to order. Our opening ceremony this evening will be from the group of our Youth City Council. They're going to share some of their experiences at the Capitol and lead us in the pledge. If you'd like to come up to the microphone and introduce yourselves, that would be great. Just talk about your experience first, and then last we'll go. You'll just ask us to stand and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
And introduce yourself.
Okay. We're talking about my experiences.
Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, tell us who you are first.
I'm Ari Nickel. I am a 10th grader, sophomore at Logan High School. And we got the opportunity, I went with them to go spend the day at the Capitol. And it was really cool to learn about, specifically about the legislative internship panel. I learned a lot of things about that. It was really cool to find out about how a student can be able to go kind of be like right-hand man and be able to like, in some sort of way delegate and be able to like see how leaders talk and how they make decisions. That was really interesting to find out.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ria Cecina. I'm a 9th grader, freshman at Logan High. Something that I learned was how when they were talking about, I don't know who they were. If I'm being honest, I can't remember. This was like 2 months ago. They were important people though. There was a lot of few important people.
They like to think that they're important people.
It was our senators and representatives. So,
Which were the last people that
well, Senator Wilson and Representative
Jason Thompson. Jason.
and Representative, I think. They one of them was like really tired because they how tired his mom was. And then something else was we got to socialize a lot and we got to do this thing where we had to talk to people and like figure out from what like youth council we were. Yeah.
Excellent, thank you.
Hello, I'm Madden Hepton. I'm a sophomore at Logan High, and yeah, like Ari and Mia said, it was a really cool experience. We got to meet our representative and senator and interact with other youth councils from Utah, and it was just really cool to learn more about how Utah's government works. Yeah.
Thank you. Mia, why don't you ask us if we'll stand
Please stand
and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much for being willing to be part of the Youth Council and for going to the Capitol and coming and sharing with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun to go down there with you guys. You asked good questions of the representatives and senators, and
Yeah, thanks to Amy and Ernesto for kind of chaperoning the trip, and their Logan High advisor, and so we've.
And you are welcome to stay for the whole meeting or part of the meeting, or you can go whenever you want.
It's gonna be very fun.
So our next order of business this evening is the acceptance of the minutes and the approval of the agenda.
I'll move for acceptance of the minutes and approval of the agenda.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 2025 regular meeting schedule is, as always, the first and third Tuesdays of the month. Our next meeting, no pun intended, is April Fool's Day. So this is the time in the meeting where we allow questions and comments from the public on any item that is not otherwise on the agenda. If you have a question or a comment for us or for the mayor, please come to the podium, state your name, and take 3 minutes or less.
Yeah, it's me again, Josh Mahler, here from Logan. Want to say congratulations for the award that the city's going to be receiving for the Walk Plaza. You know, been very, very critical of it, you know, since its conception. But, you know, I walk through there every chance I get. If I still skateboarded, I would be zipping through there. Concrete is too perfect for that, so. But I'm not going to address that. I want to address our Main Street and how we possibly are perceived with newcomers to Logan. If you, let's say that you come to Logan, you're the first person, you know, you've never been here. You're doing like a tour of old religious buildings. One of the first places I think you're gonna stop at is the Tabernacle, because it is a really cool place. You know, I'm not LDS, but I love architecture. Say you pull around back in your bus, your tour bus, get off, you come around, you know, start snapping pictures of you and your friends and looking at it. And then you turn around to check out Main Street, wondering, you know, what is all this traffic going on? And you do a panoramic view, and you see on the corner, Cash Valley Bank. Across the street, Cash Valley Bank. You see, and from what I've seen, or from what I've heard, you know, from another meeting, that there's going to be 2 more buildings with these logos on it. Then you look over, you know, you've got the Log Plaza, it's got a cool entryway and stuff like that to it. But then you look over and you go, okay. The 4 biggest buildings in that area of town are all Cash Valley banks. Now, let's say with Anderson B and C, you know, if you were to take your building and you were to add 5 more buildings to that, you know, you could expand, because you work a lot with very different materials, you know, a lot of different areas. But Cash Valley Bank works with 1, money, that's it. And I'm trying to figure out the purpose of having 7 Cash Valley Bank locations in 1.5 blocks of Main Street. It doesn't make any financial sense unless you dive deeper into a lot of tax deduction finances to it. It doesn't make any fiscal sense to it whatsoever. I think that we need to reassess what we want to show people coming to Logan. And I don't think having that many banks there, all one bank, is a good idea. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Thanks, Josh.
Hi, Matthew Potter, live here in Logan. I'm a little bit concerned about what will be happening later on inside of this meeting with the UAM situation, but I mostly want to discuss how I'm happy with any resolution to go green. I think it's pretty silly to do just feasibility studies as a dedication, but this is basically UAMs just trying to socialize their
That was on the agenda, so.
check that, whatever. So specifically what I want to say is that we should be requiring UAMs to come to us with this feasibility study because they should be looking into green alternatives for
Matthew?
power
Matthew.
regulations. Anyways, I don't know. I'm just worried that this workshop situation is going to lose sight of the.
Matthew, it's on the agenda, so we actually not to talk.
It's not public comment though, so I have issues with that aspect.
But it will be in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yes, it'll be a public hearing then, and you're more than welcome to come.
I'm just worried that you're going to lose track again of the motivation that we've seen here at the start of the year.
So,
Because there's nothing that changed in the situation. They're going to come again with it without telling you
please,
new about green. Thank you for your time, I guess.
is there anyone else? We'll close the public comment period, and we'll turn now to the mayor and staff reports.
Thank you. I would like to introduce to the council members and the audience our new emergency management director, Ronald Gonsalves. If you'd maybe come up to the podium. Again, we're pleased to have this new full-time person helping to prepare us for any potential upcoming emergencies. We've kind of had a part-time person in the fire department, and again, we just feel this is a critical need for the city should something happen. So just by way of introduction, in his career, he's served as Arizona State's Continuity of Operations Planner and Program Manager for Arizona's Emergency Operations Plan, served as an Incident Commander, Planning Sections Chief, Resource Unit Leader, Liaison Officer, State and National Incident Management System Coordinator, and team member of the Fatality Management Group during COVID. So he's been exposed to a wide range of disasters or emergencies and a lot of good experience in preparedness. So we are pleased to have him on board, and he is housed in the Public Works Department, but he will be working citywide with all the departments. So welcome, Ronald. I don't know if you want to just say a quick hello to folks.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Mayor, all city council members, my name is Logan Municipal, like the mayor said. Currently, this is my, excited to be up here overall, just take over this program and elevate your preparedness efforts. And it is quite a project, but I know that this is not something that I can overcome, and I know that your guys' preparedness efforts under my direction, it will be elevated, and I promise that to all the community members of Logan City, is that they're going to be impressed with all the future projects that are going to come in the future. So I do plan on having more engagements. However, my first efforts is focused on your preparedness efforts and your emergency plans. Out of all the years I've been doing this, you have to have a plan in place first. That's also included, a little side note, I'm also in the military. Any operations I've been on in Afghanistan as well as in Africa, it always started with a plan. So my efforts focus right now is to help build an emergency operations plan for you, as well as continuity for the city, for Logan City. So happy to be here and take the reign on this.
Thank you. He's already showed a lot of initiative, so we'll be hearing more from him in the future. So thank you for coming
We're going to
tonight.
hang a little green, red, and yellow ribbons on our houses if there's an emergency.
We'll let him deal with that down the road. Thanks, Ronald.
Thanks,
We
Ron.
appreciate that. The second item under mayor and staff reports, I'm delighted to have Rex Davis, our city forester, here. And, you know, we've had a lot of discussion lately about trees. Again, there were some trees that were aging near Wilson School. They intended to trim, and it turned out there was a lot of dead, and for safety reasons, they took those out. We've dealt with the Canyon Road trees. Our city is just beginning to, our green infrastructure is aging, and we'd like to sort of get some direction from Rex, our city forester, and talk about how we can maybe involve our citizens in making a plan about how we address some of these aging trees. So I probably said more than I needed. We'll turn the time over to Rex and thank him for the effort, and go right ahead.
Okay, well, thank you, Mayor and members of council. Thank you for meeting with me today. Am I okay to sit here? Is this okay?
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
feel like I should be standing. Anyway, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Rex Davis. I am the city forester here for Logan. I've been with Logan City for 17 years. I have a degree in urban forestry management as well as an ISA arborist certification.
Which is hard to get, by the way.
ISA was harder than the degree, I'm going to say it. But anyway, I'm always looking for ways to evolve our urban forestry management practices within Logan City. I don't want to just get stuck in my ways and say that's right. But as Mayor mentioned, we are dealing with a rapidly aging urban forest. And so some hard decisions need to be made as far as that urban forest goes. Real quick, I want to give my crew a shout out. I have the best crew of any municipality in any state, and I'll say that right now. I have the best crew that works with me. And forgive me, I'm a little scatterbrained today. We've been on storm response all day. So we have been clearing roads, clearing sidewalks, helping with down power lines. So we've been pretty busy today. So what I came to talk to you guys about today is our Forestry Advisory Board. Okay, and what's going to be happening is we're going to be making some changes to our board. The main one is neighborhood chairs are going to be a very big part of this board. They're going to compose the board. So obviously your Wilson, Ellis, Bridger, so on, Adams, Hillcrest, all those neighborhoods. We're also going to incorporate Parks and Rec into this. Reed Weitendorf is going to be a part of that. Light and Power, Trent Reber is going to be a part of that. And for Public Works, Hart Wybrow. These guys are going to give us a municipal standpoint on their parts of the dealings with trees, and then they'll go with the neighborhood chairs that are going to be able to share the community's concerns with trees. We're all very sensitive about trees. We all care about trees. I think we all understand the value of trees. So I want everyone's voice to be heard with these decisions moving forward. Forestry, obviously myself. Environmental department's going to provide clerical staff. Christine Willie has offered to do that for us. No members are going to receive any compensation to be on this board. And all these rules have already been in place. What's happening is we're going to really follow all these rules moving forward. It's really been an informal, just kind of meet when we can type thing, and we're gonna work on making that quarterly from now on. So in the very first meeting we have with the chairs, I would like for the members to decide who will serve as the chair. I feel like it should be up to them. Whoever wants to take the reins of being the chair, I'm all for that. And if a member needs to step down at any time, all vacancies, the vacancy shall be filled by the mayor with the advice and consent of this council. As I mentioned, the board will meet quarterly. This board will help in making some of the more tough decisions, such as tree removals for sidewalk issues, other things like that. A lot of our biggest issues come down to tree removals. And what other options do we have besides removal? Can we grind the sidewalk down? What other options do we have? So this board will help advise me in my role as city forester to make good decisions.
Rex, could I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
There's little tiny printing up there.
Yeah.
And there was little tiny printing about terms on the slide prior to that.
Okay.
I was just, so people might understand that the terms will be 3 years and.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for catching on that. So 1 member will serve 1 year. 2 members will serve 2 or 3 members. It's going to depend on the neighborhoods. The actual way it was worded said 2, but I think 2 or 3 should serve 2. 2 members to serve 3 years, and then after that, the first initial group, we're going to have everyone serve 3 years moving forward from there. Councilman Anderson did a great job, but I believe you served roughly 13 years on the Forestry Advisory Board. So
just a day or 2.
I appreciated everything Mark had. Mark was a great addition to that because of his knowledge of arboriculture. He was actually a very valuable asset in that. And then the other small print on this one is make sure we explore all options before removal. That's what I was kind of talking about in Can a sidewalk be ground down before we remove the tree? Are there other options besides just removing that tree? I would also like the board members to try to seek outside funding for tree planting and see if they have any ties to volunteer groups that could help us get trees in the ground. Ever since, there seems to be a division between Eagle Scout projects and all that stuff, and we kind of lost our biggest volunteers when we lost the Eagle Scout projects. The Eagle Scouts aren't gone, but it definitely took a hit. And they will have other responsibilities as well. This is a great example of something that I would take to my advisory board. Right here we're looking at clearly heaved sidewalk. Our city ordinances state that a park strip should be 8 feet or greater to have a tree in it, and that's since 1994. This is up on Canterbury Lane. If any residents live up there, you might be familiar with the scary trip hazards we have up there. So I want to take these kind of things to the advisory board. From a public works standpoint, obviously they want the tree gone and they want the sidewalk flattened out and not to keep dealing with it. And that may be the right call in this. I'm going to do my very best not to influence the board one way or the other. I want their honest opinions on all this, but this is an example of something that they would that would be taken to the board. I have a tendency to speak kind of fast. If any of you council members need to interrupt for a question, feel free to do so. We also are going to be seeking some funding for an urban forestry management plan. Now, we have an urban forestry management plan in place already for Logan City, but it's a pretty broad paintbrush that we're painting with. So what I would like to do is I would like to ask for the council to maybe think in the back of their minds about identifying some more sensitive areas in our town, in our city, and maybe we bring in a third party to develop an exact plan on how to manage those exact trees. We all love our trees. We all love our trees in front of our homes on that park strip, but maybe if you guys can aid and help with identifying some more sensitive areas or bigger trees that let's do what we can to protect these, I would really appreciate that.
So Rex, I just have I don't know if it falls in this, but
Yeah.
with all of the discussion now about the fact that we live in a desert and people wanting to flip their strips.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to assume you're going to work with the community development office just to talk about what ordinances might we need to tweak, because I do see people now planting trees because they're trying to comply with this percentage of green.
Yeah.
And so I don't again, just a point for your board as you move forward. Is
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
how do we educate people when they flip their strip as to what's appropriate?
Right, because we need residents to understand that we do all want to be more water conscious, but to be more water conscious, you got to water your tree because that's what's going to shade your yard and save you water on your yard, right? I'm actually working with Miles Becker. He's the new urban forester up at Utah State University, and he has written a really nice paper on being water wise while still caring for your tree. And he's going to be publishing that very soon.
It might be worthwhile for you to expand the board to add someone from community development so that you have that interaction.
I like that idea. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could suggest that because Mike's not here. Maybe Aaron could be on it. He doesn't have enough to do.
Oh, yeah. Something else on your plate?
That's the one component that we've been missing from the board.
Yeah.
Is that input from Public Works and from Light and Power, from
Right.
Parks. That's the piece that we've kind of been missing.
Absolutely,
So I
absolutely.
like that a lot.
And I think it'll be great. I mean, Paul knows this, that, we have sidewalk tree conflicts, sidewalk curb and gutter conflicts. This is a daily issue. I would really like to see moving forward, and I need to do a better job on this in my comments in Planning Commission. We really push for those 8-foot wide park strips moving forward, because that's what's going to allow us to have trees and have them have room to grow. So basically to wrap up this slide here, that's what I'd be looking for, is maybe just some of your input as you speak with people.
Well, and one thing I'll just add, I think most of you are aware of, I mean, Rex from Forestry and Parks and Emily Malik wrote the grant. We had a grant for $300,000 from the USDA and the Arbor Foundation to plant new trees, $100,000 worth a year over the next 3 years. And unfortunately, with the change in administration, we did get notification that that grant has been canceled. So we'll have to look at some other ways, because we would love to plant, we do need to invest in new trees. So we just thought we had some funding, but that's gone away. So.
Yeah, we were really excited about that too, because we really wanted to caliber up our plantings too. We wanted to plant bigger trees as we were moving forward, but losing that funding is kind of taking a hit. Emily's doing a great job. She's working with the Arbor Day Foundation right now. She's working on getting us another grant. Obviously, it's not going to be that big federal grant that we were looking at, but anything's going to help us. So we'll try to take advantage of any funding we can get to move forward with that. If anybody has any questions, I am open to anything. It doesn't have to be forestry board. If you guys have any general forestry questions, anything like that, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Yeah. But again, we'll be working with the neighborhood chairpersons for them to either be on the board or appoint someone is probably what will happen in most cases. But just again, try and get some input from the different neighborhoods on how we can kind of handle some of these upcoming issues. So.
Yeah, and I've already spoke to one neighborhood chair, and she's already found an ISA certified arborist that's living in her area, and she's going to appoint him. So it's, I think this board is going to be a very useful tool moving forward, and we're going to work closely too with the newsletters and let people know, hey, these trees right here in severe decline, we're going to be assessing them and potentially looking at their removal. So my whole goal with this board is to try to communicate a little better with the residents of Logan.
Well, and I think that the trees in our community, because we were a tree city, we've got signs like that. I believe that a lot of people identify the character of Logan through the canopy of its trees.
For sure. And this year,
track of that. Just
on a side note, this is our 40th consecutive year of being a Tree City USA. This year is. So we're going to receive a 40-year award this year and wear it proudly.
Great.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rex.
Anything else, Mayor?
Nope, that's all for this evening.
Okay, we'll move now to council business. Planning Commission. The report from Planning Commission is as follows. Hold on a second. I will do this. There was in the Ellis neighborhood, there's a short-term rental at 473 West, 100 South. That was licensed and approved. There was also one at 358 West, 400 North, also in the Ellis neighborhood that was approved. And then there is a gateway overlay zone and sign amendment that will be coming to us that was also approved by Planning Commission. Russ told me that there has been some significant work being done in community development to identify some of the short-term rentals that have been operating without being properly licensed. And so that might be why we're seeing so many at once.
It appears that we're getting more applications.
What?
Appears we're getting more applications.
No, I think we're getting applications because.
Because people are getting legal?
Yes. Yeah.
So
before we weren't getting applications, and now we are.
So that it's helping because they're following the rules and operating on the same playing field as everyone else. We'll go now item B, board and committee reports. This meeting is the Vice Chair Johnson and Amy and Ernesto. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So Parks and Rec met this month. Just a reminder that they are hiring for the summer. If you know people who are looking for that full-time and part-time summer employment, go to the Parks and Rec website so you can apply. They will be holding an open house on March 24th, which is a Tuesday?
It's Monday.
Monday, sorry, from 4 to 7 at the Logan Library. There's going to basically be sections that people can go to get some information. One is going to be one of the areas will be discussing the transition plan from the school district as they take on full responsibility for the rec center. Another one is going to be about the recreation center feasibility study that's going on right now. Also talking about the new Logan Outdoor Recreation Complex that's under development 200 South between 1350 West and 1900 West. And then finally, just information on the city's general plan and next steps in that planning process. But I think sometimes we forget all of the exciting things that are happening in Parks and Rec. We hear about golf because somebody up here likes to golf. But there are many other things that are happening in Parks.
I can talk about trails more if you want.
Well, but so if you're interested, 4 to 7, Logan Library on Monday night. Hope to see you there. The Bear River Local Homeless Council met again also. Just a reminder that we're seeking a new vice chair for that. The Receiving Center, which is operating with Bear River Mental Health, is progressing through their approval process, and hopefully they'll be breaking ground any day now that the weather's nice.
You didn't look outside, did you?
It'll be nice tomorrow.
Okay.
We can talk about that.
And then not again the next.
The warming center that's being run out of St. John's Episcopal Church, unfortunately this year has seen a huge increase in the number of people that are utilizing it. They had 42 people there one night last week, including a family with some young children. So that issue of unhoused people in our community still remains of concern. They will be closing on April 10th for the season. So just for those of you who have very kindly been making referrals or letting people know that it's open, just for your information, that the 10th is the final night of operation for the warming center for the year, because that is strictly for the coldest nights of the year. Winter overflow funding is kind of winding down with Bear River Association of Governments as well. And if anyone's interested in learning more about that, the next meeting will be April 1st. Those are held virtually. Public Arts Net, we're discussing that plan later this evening, so I'll kind of let that lie. But one other project that is underway is creating a new public art map that you can look at on your phone, so you could see the locations of all the public art and some private art that's in Logan. So thanks to Erin for working on that. I think that's going to be a great addition for people to be able to see and identify where our art is. Hillcrest Council is meeting tomorrow at 5:30, and then I'll let Ernesto talk about the library because we're both on that. So.
Do you want to talk about the library now, or do you want me to go first?
Sure, I can talk. So got to attend the library meetings. I wasn't here for last time. It was my turn to report, so I don't know if Amy reported much about the library for January.
Yeah, I did.
But seems like the hoopla whole situation is under control. And
the borrowing
I was
program.
like, hoopla, why are we having hoopla?
the digital service that patrons are able to use and check out digital items.
Right, okay, got it.
Mike's preferred method of checking out things.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm cheap. You guys are just like...
Most of the ongoing issues that were unaddressed as far as the building goes have been working on. There's just one that remains to make sure that it works, and that's the AC, but because we're still in cold temperatures, we have to wait till it gets a little bit warmer to address that. One thing that was reported just last night was that they apparently they have spent under budget versus their projections, so they're happy to report that as of right now. And that was a piece of good news.
And then we have a new
Director starting Monday.
Yes, we have Michael
Sowers.
Sowers is the new director. He will be starting on April 1st, right?
No, Monday, the 20.
This Monday.
Yeah,
24th,
yeah,
yeah.
24th.
All right. And so that's on the library. I did get to attend the Cash Arts Board, and they have multiple big capital projects that they would like to tackle here in the near future, including HVAC controls, seating. Seating, I think, is the biggest one. And so they will be working towards that this year, and then the next couple months to plan all of that. And Aaron will be sharing about the public art plans, so I'll also kind of leave that up to him so that we don't steal his thunder.
Okay.
Is that everything?
Yep.
You guys like have a very busy part-time job with all your meetings you have every month. I'll start with the easy ones. Audit committee didn't meet. BPAC met, and coming up on May 12th through 18th is Bike Week. They are currently doing a poster contest for that, so you have until April 3rd to submit if any of you want to submit some artwork for the Bike Week poster.
8th through the 12th, you said.
May 12th through 18th.
18th, okay.
May 12th through 18th is Bike Week. And then the bike lanes on 500 North, I know I've mentioned them, are coming along nicely. I think we'll be having some flyers going out soon, is what I saw today, that those will be going out soon. And I think the mayor will be talking about it on the radio as well, maybe?
Tomorrow, and then at the next Adams neighborhood meeting, because they go along 500 North through the Adams neighborhood, we'll have staff there to answer any questions.
When is that Adams neighborhood?
April 10th.
April 10th, yeah. So, but I think those are coming along nicely and looking good, so that's been kind of exciting. Other meetings I've been to, so those are my main board meetings, but I did go to the UDOT Main Street Study meeting a few weeks ago, but I think that's been talked about. And then I went to a recreation center study meeting with Ernesto and Mayor Daines last week. That was run by the county. It was kind of their kickoff for the feasibility study for a county-wide recreation center, which was a good meeting with a lot of participation, a good chance to kind of share our comments on possible recreation centers. And so that study is, I think, officially underway now. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you'll hopefully be seeing surveys and information from that soon. And then I yesterday went to a meeting at Light and Power with Mark Montgomery and Emily, who I thought I saw here. Oh, there she is, hiding on the back row, and a few other people with Light and Power to talk about demand reduction and kind of conservation. I think Emily was the one who found the engineering firm that came and met with Light and Power to talk about what's possible and what they think might be feasible in terms of reducing our power load and our demand. And it seemed like they are very optimistic about what's possible within our city. And
Utilizing conservation, you mean?
Conservation, yep, reducing our demand and our peak load. And I think I'm using all the right terms, Mark.
We all ought to know them by now.
We should by now, yeah. But no, they seemed optimistic. I don't want to throw out percentages yet because they're looking at doing a little bit of a pilot program. So hopefully they'll come back with a proposal for a pilot program to start doing some conservation. Were you going to ask something?
Well, once you're done.
Nope, and that's been my... Oh, no, RESAB. That was the top one on my list. RESAB also met, and we discussed what we're discussing tonight, so they were able to go over the UM's proposal that we're looking at. They also went over some guiding principles that hopefully will be coming to council soon. And then there was something else. Oh, they talked about their bylaws briefly too, which we will hopefully see next month to approve.
And potentially a couple new members.
And potentially a couple new members, but we did not consider those this month because we had a lot to talk about. So,
I just wanted to add to what Mike mentioned about the rec center study meeting that we got to attend. The current funding funds the study up to the concept development part of the entire journey of what this is. And if they get more funding, that would fund kind of like the refinements of whatever they come up with, and really coming up with
a plan.
The place and thing.
Yeah.
Place or places.
Yeah.
So reach out to your county council members and encourage them to fund it if you want to.
And come to the Parks and Rec meeting Monday so you can learn more about it.
That too. I'll be there Monday.
The last one I forgot is, I think all of us were there. It was exciting to see that demonstration, that the air taxis, the electric air taxis that we got to see in action and envision what the future may hold for transportation in the state.
Big plugs. Big outlets, I should say.
So the Adams neighborhood meeting is actually the 16th at 7 o'clock at Adams Elementary.
It's the 16th, okay.
16th is a Wednesday.
April
16th.
April 16th.
Anything else?
Yeah, I have one more thing.
Okay.
But I'm putting that on my calendar real quick. I usually announce like neighborhood meetings and stuff and our other considerations at the end. Can I announce it now? Because there's actually people here in case they want to come. Everyone leaves by the end, and then I tell them when neighborhood meetings are. And there's nobody here. Just a couple things coming up on the calendar. If you guys want to come, I'm going to go Monday and help pick up range balls at the golf course. That's
In the weeds?
Yep, in the weeds. I'm hoping Russ will come pick some up with me.
In the Thorny area.
I'll be there. But that's Monday, so that's this coming Monday, March 24th from 9 to noon. Hillcrest has a neighborhood meeting tomorrow night at Hillcrest Elementary. I believe that starts at 5:30? 6. Okay, 6 p.m. tomorrow at Hillcrest. And then the Parks and Rec open house is Monday the 24th from 4 to 7 at the Logan Library. And then there's that power panel at Utah State, I believe 1 o'clock this coming Friday. Is anyone else going to that? I'll be going up too. You're right.
I'm trying to make it work. Friday's kind of ugly for me, but.
Hillcrest meeting is 5:30.
5:30.
I've got it on my calendar wrong then,
5:30
so
to
that's good to know.
6:30 in the Hillcrest Auditorium.
What time
Okay,
is
I gotta change that.
So the Hillcrest meeting is tomorrow, 5:30 at Hillcrest Elementary. And then there's it's like a panel discussion at Utah State. It's this Friday from 1 o'clock to 2:15. I believe it's in the Logan, the Merrill Library up on campus. And I know that the chair of our RESAB, Tyson, is presenting, as well as a few other people. And I know Patrick Belmont is moderating
It's in the library?
on campus, yes.
Yeah.
There is no room that's very big in that library. That's what I'm asking.
I just got the invite and signed up. So, but I talked to Tyson about it, and he said it should be some very good applicable information to Logan's situation. So, those are the only events that I know that are coming up in the next week or two.
Okay, we'll move on to item C is my awkwardly written one-sentence attempt to ask of our mayor and the director of our Light and Power to complete a feasibility study and present it to us in 3 months that would add not less than 15 megawatts of solar capacity, including battery storage, at a location or locations within Logan City. We have had a lot of conversation, and I think there was a desire on the part of the council, and you all can contradict me if you want to, that we would try and really put something down on paper that would give us a deadline that we can actually look at a project within Logan City. And this seemed to be, according to Rich, the easiest way for me to get that done. So,
Do you trust Rich?
I do trust Rich.
And Craig too, right?
And Craig.
And Craig.
Yeah.
This
So-
is on top of the 10 megawatt solar plus 5 battery that Light and Power's already investigating. So,
Right, which is a UAMPS.
yeah.
That's a
That's a
UAMPS.
UAMPS project. This would be a Logan City.
So this is
This would be a
top
Logan,
of it.
yeah. This would be Logan City.
Can I ask a question, Mark? Not you, Mark Montgomery.
Sure.
I know you and I talked about this briefly yesterday. Do you feel like 3 months
is enough.
is enough time? Am I giving you too much time?
That was my question.
Could I have it in 3 weeks if I wanted? Is 3 months adequate?
It's okay, it's adequate.
Adequate? If I asked for 2 months, could you do that comfortably or no?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
Mayor, do you feel like 3 months is okay?
I'm just exploring.
We can certainly, come back with something. There may be things we're still looking into, but we can certainly make an effort within that time frame to come back to you with what we know at that point.
And if it's done sooner, that's helpful too, right? I think 3 months seems to pull everything together for
It does. I was just asking.
15 minutes.
The 2 weeks is obviously a joke.
Does anybody want to make any changes to that request, or do you feel just by voice that that's okay?
What would the feasibility study include?
That to add not less than 15 megawatts of solar capacity, including battery storage at location or locations within Logan City.
So it's just this part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that could be rooftop, that could be open land, that could be
Right.
multiple options,
Right.
possibly both.
But it's all
Could be a
behind
multitude.
That's
the
behind the
We
meter.
don't have to do
Yeah.
transmission. We still have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So if that is okay with everyone, if I don't hear any big, strong negatives, we'll
Mark, you don't have any concerns?
I do not.
I'm not asking you again. I'm asking everyone. Mark Montgomery.
What are you talking to Mark Montgomery for?
You're gonna have to start saying Mark A and Mark M.
Councilman Anderson, not you.
I do not have any concerns, no.
Mark, you don't see any, I know we talked briefly, but no big concerns with us asking this at this point? Okay.
I strongly endorse it as opposed to your, if you have any hesitations, I strongly
Yeah, I'd
endorse
say I
it.
strongly endorse too.
Yeah, me too.
I wish we could.
How
vote
about
on
you,
it.
Mark Anderson?
Oh, I said I have no problem, yeah. No,
Okay.
This is exactly what I was
We're
talking
asking,
about
yeah.
2 months ago, so it's like, I want 30 of solar, and I want 30 of natural gas, so, yes.
Well, I mean,
I'll take all of the above.
you and I were the ones in that meeting in, was it January? When we went through it with Light and Power and Rich and their ranges there, and the finances look fantastic. If we can find a way to find a space for it and find a.
It's, when we talked about the natural gas, the peaker and the base load, we talked about risk.
Right.
This has at least as much risk, if not more risk, because we're doing it ourselves. So
Different risks,
it's a
but yes.
different kind of risk. So just remember, we've got risks built into whatever we do, so, yeah.
One thing I would like to know from the study is is it feasible and is it advisable, or is it more advisable to invest in solar somewhere else and have it wheeled here?
Yeah.
I know that is something we'd like to avoid if we can. It's just, if you don't wheel it and you get double.
I just really feel,
That comes down to our diversification. It's like, we have diverse locations of where it's coming from instead of all of our power coming from one spot that gets cut off and then all of a sudden we don't have power.
Yeah, I definitely don't think we'd want to put 70 here.
Yeah.
Like we briefly talked about in January, like 70 seems like a lot, but
Yeah,
15
because
here, 10's
there,
there.
2 weeks in January that our local solar in Boxford, other counties didn't have any output because of the weather, so.
well, that's why
The risk.
I tried in one long, multiple comment sentence.
Run on.
Yeah, well, theoretically, it's not supposed to be around.
So, you covered it quite well, Jeannie.
I think it's great.
That the battery storage needs to be a critical component to that investigation.
So
Okay.
I'm a details sometimes person. If we say 3 months, are we saying, can I do math? Are we saying June 18th? Or are we saying the first meeting in June? Or are we saying the last meeting in June? Are we doing this in the middle of budgets? Are we gonna say the first meeting of January? Or are we just saying 3 months, come to me? I like dates on
Or
things.
less. Yeah, 3 months.
We never have more than one meeting in July. When do we approve the budget? In July?
The third meeting of June, the third week of June.
The plan is a tentative approval on the second meeting in June, so
Yeah.
June 18th,
Yeah.
June 17th.
June 17th.
17th, yeah.
That would be the approval, so
So,
I prefer we don't muddle that meeting with a whole bunch of other stuff.
so perhaps we would say the first meeting in July, the meeting.
So July 1st?
Well, it depends on which July meeting we cancel.
Sure. I told you last year, we don't have to cancel any of them.
I know we don't, but we do for some reason. We always cancel one.
Okay.
So
So,
July 1st is the first meeting
Yeah,
in
it is.
July, so
um,
maybe just say no later than July 15th, and if it's available sooner.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that gives you,
Does that work?
that gives you 4 months, Mark. And Mayor Danes.
You said July.
July 15th. I would just like a date on it.
You okay, Mark
That's-
Montgomery?
No later than
So
July
far.
15th.
Saw that. We'll put it on
I
the
didn't hear you.
I'm good so far.
Okay.
I have a question for Mark, though. Mark, how big are the batteries?
Can you come to the microphone if you're
Yeah.
going to answer those questions, so people...
Because from what I understand, for every megawatt, you need at least 10 shipping container size batteries.
I don't know the answer to
Yeah.
that. I have one
We're
that's
supposed to know all that.
a container, and it is like a 250 kilowatt battery.
Okay, so you need like
So you need
you need
four
four of
I
those.
need 4, but it's a different technology that hasn't worked since we tried to start.
How does- Okay,
You know, there's more traditional battery
Yeah.
styles that
okay.
might be small.
Because there's a consideration of where the panels need to go, but there's also consideration how much space the batteries are going to take up as well, too, so,
We're gonna hook them up and see
Yeah.
how we get into the system.
okay. I have confidence in you.
It's a puzzle. A big puzzle.
That's my job description.
I'm so excited about it.
You liked puzzles, Mark Montgomery. Okay, we're going to move now to our action items. We have 5 public hearings this evening. Our first public hearing is Resolution 25-08, which is for some proposed fee increases in the Parks and Recreation Department, specifically the golf course. Russ, do you want to come to the podium, please, in case we have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Council. A few weeks ago, I appeared before you to present increased fees at Logan River Golf Course. And tonight, with regards to the public hearing, free to take any questions or follow up if the public has any questions regarding this.
Does the board have any questions of Russ before we open the public hearing?
So I had a question last 2 weeks ago, and I see that it's corrected. So the senior greens fee is 17 for 9 and 34 for 18. So those are congruent now in the report. So thanks for fixing that.
Thanks for pointing it out.
Well, since I'm almost a senior, like that dollar's going to matter.
I can't believe you made a clerical error, Russ.
Oh, my goodness. That's right, you're a 4th of July baby. What?
Nothing.
He's making a smart comment.
I'm not the one talking about golf.
Okay. Anybody have any questions of Russ right now? You'll hang close, just in case?
Yeah.
This is a public hearing. If any of the members of the public wish to speak on this issue, on the fee increase issue, please come to the podium, state your name, and please take 3 minutes or less.
Hi, I'm Matthew Buckwell. Live here in Logan. For raising the fees for the golf course, I think it's fine to assume that it's a staple here inside of the community. So I think we should be working to address one of the main pitfalls of having golf courses in the community, which is overconsumption of water. There's plenty of precedent that have been used inside of PGA for golf courses for low intensity grasses, especially natural ones that don't drain as much on the resources. So I would suggest that we look into shifting the golf course over into a more water conservative green as opposed to the traditionally aesthetically homogenized look, I guess is not what I'm looking for. Anyways, worth considering if we're going to keep raising the prices and everything like that while we're letting recreation centers shut down. Thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this? If not, I will bring it back to the council for a decision.
I will move approval of resolution 25-08, and we'll briefly add that I'm moving so because after discussion with Rich, we talked about this last time, that I think the golf course should hopefully be self-sustaining, and we're getting it close to that, which I think will be great.
Just one note on the water. It actually is a wetlands area and has a tremendous number of water shares, so we're just kind of using a well on site and it goes back into the wetlands, so.
And I think part of this is...
We're using secondary water, in other words.
Yeah.
And part of this is hopefully for irrigation upgrades, which would make it more efficient.
Yeah. I'll second that.
Sorry.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Russ.
I know Parks and Rec is very concerned about raising fees, and as a member of the board for the golf course, they'll only raise the rates if they absolutely have to. I mean, it's cost increases, so they're not doing it just to make more money, doing it because of cost increases. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next public hearing is a budget adjustment, and it has many, many pieces. Rich, would you go through that for us, please?
First is request to appropriate $800,000 of additional connection fee revenue in our electric department to be used toward electrical connection expenses. We budget a nominal amount. We may need to up that amount as we go forward. We'll see. The next is request to appropriate $37,217 toward our North Logan fire contract. Request to appropriate $367,396 toward fire wildland reimbursements. That's in our fire department, as well as $28,918 for reimbursements to our EMS budget. They are both EMTs and firefighters most of the time, so that's why we're reimbursing both funds. A request to appropriate it's to move $62,698 of pop split funds from the general fund to the golf course fund to be used for driving range improvements.
Can you explain to people what the population, what the pop split means?
So from the RAPS funds that we receive from the county, a certain portion are divvied up based on population to each and every municipality. And our intent is to use these funds towards some golf improvements, which is one of the approved uses for recreation.
Because they have limited use.
They can only be used for recreation, art parks, and zoos. Next is request to appropriate $4,905 for ARF, which is aircraft rescue and firefighting standbys at the airport toward ARF training. And lastly, request to appropriate $337 toward communication center training. That's all.
Wow, it costs a lot more to train an ARC person than a communication
Slightly
center
more.
person. Anyway, does anybody have any further questions? This is a public hearing. If anyone has any comments regarding this item, please come forward, state your name, and speak for 3 minutes or less.
With this $800,000, let's see, revenue received from electrical connections to be used for electrical connection expenses. Is there a place where I can go and find out just what for it? Somebody could explain that a little bit further. Ask so much, but
Rich, can you explain how the...
Yes, as part of the building permit process, there is a fee for connecting to the system. And in this case, we budgeted, I think, $250,000, but we've exceeded that. So if we budget $250,000 on the revenue side, that's all we have on the expense side. We've received more revenue this year. We've also incurred more expenses. So we're just requesting that we reimburse the budget with those fees that have been collected. Most of these are commercial connections, new businesses that connect to our electrical system.
okay, are these businesses actually contributing to the connections?
They
Or
pay
is that
for
just
them.
all of the,
They pay for them.
Oh, okay, all right.
So,
Thank you.
anyone else? We'll bring it back to council for a decision.
I would move acceptance of resolution 25-09.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our third public hearing this evening is another budget adjustment, and I will turn the time over to Rich.
So this is the water tank budget resolution that we've talked about for several months. The request is to appropriate $10,000.
I wish, yeah.
And only missed it by 3 zeros.
Small.
To improve it. $10 million in water fund reserves and $40 million in bonds that will be issued in the future toward the water tank and associated line project. This is in addition to the $20 million that we appropriated several years ago. So the total project would be, with approval of council, a $70 million project, which is a lot of money.
Yes, it is. Any questions? This is a public hearing. If there are any members of the public who wish to speak to this, please come to the podium, state your name, and speak for 3 minutes or less.
Rusty, do you mind if I get a verbal statement of what the water tank is for real quick?
Your comment should be directed to this budget adjustment.
Yeah, about a water tank, right? So I'm wondering what's the water tank for?
What's the water tank for?
Yeah.
We've discussed it in multiple.
We've discussed it for,
I know, I'm just saying, so, all right, I'm just trying to use it as juxtaposition. If we're worried about water and everything, we need to have it stored and everything. I do think that we should keep iterating again. Thanks for that. The hydration and everything like that on the golf course, as I was saying. Just because it's a wetland and everything like that, keeping it from continuing to contribute to the groundwater cycle is what's inhibiting, especially things further down south, simply with the type of water basin that reaches all the way down to St. George. Yeah, anyway, just wanted to provide that juxtaposition there real quick.
thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this? Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to the council for a decision.
I'll move acceptance of resolution 25-10.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Does anyone have any further concerns or considerations?
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Yes, it is.
But everyone likes to have culinary water and pressure for fire flow and those sorts of details.
I know.
It's not for capacity, it's for redundancy.
Some of it is for capacity.
No.
Yeah, state requirements.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion
abstained.
carries. Pardon?
I abstained. So, yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't hear that abstention.
No, that's okay.
Okay, we'll move now to the next public hearing. Aaron, you're already up and ready. Consideration of a proposed resolution adopting the 2025 Public Art Action Plan.
We dropped this last week. Was there anything, 2 weeks ago, was there anything that you need me to go over again?
I would just clarify, which I think we did as well, that that percent for art is just something we're looking at in the
Right.
future. It is not part of this plan. 'Cause I
It's
think
not a-
somebody asked me about
It's not a
that.
proposal, it was just an FYI on what
Right.
percent per art is. And then I do want to, the upcoming online map was mentioned. I just want to shout out to Aubrey and GIS who's been working really hard on that. I just want to take all credit. Great. I'll stick around.
Yes, don't run away.
Any questions at all? This is a public hearing. If there are any members of the public who wish to speak to the Public Art Action Plan, please come to the podium, state your name, speak for 3 minutes or less.
I'm a fan of public art and everything like that. I do think that we can step up our game a little bit by making it so that everything that goes to public capacity is Creative Commons, so everyone has immediate access to it. I'm not a fan of what happened at the mural over on the Little Logan River, where there's just a big, bold QR code of self-advertisements and everything like that for contracts that was made. I guess it was maybe a competition to win for that position to do the mural, but I'd also like to consider that 10% of buildings, public spaces and everything like that should at least have free use for the public to do spray paintings. We don't have any open mural space at all whatsoever in the valley. It's only ever if you're professionally recognized and accredited, which is inhibiting to the artistic aesthetic of getting training and practicing and making mistakes, and then it's all you good. Anyways, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this? Seeing no one, I'll bring it back to the council for a decision.
I'll move for approval of Resolution 25-07.
I just want to mention that I've been excited and happy to see the increase of the murals throughout the city, and happy to support seeing more of them.
The interesting thing is some of them have appeared without interaction with the public art program, so it's been interesting to watch that sort of enthusiasm spread.
Yeah, it's been great to see.
Yeah.
I'll second the resolution.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the 2025 Public Art Action Plan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Before we move on, so just, Matthew, to your comment, we have talked about how we can incorporate kind of graffiti art with the public art committee. So it is definitely an art form that we're aware of. So that has been brought up in many of our meetings. It's just how can we allow for that in a responsible way.
And we'll all say this.
So Aaron, you're up again. Talking about itinerant or transient merchants.
Thank you, Council. This is just an amendment to our business licensing code to, it does two things. It removes a exemption from some of the code requirements with mayoral approval, which is an oddity in our business licensing code. Then it also permits itinerant merchants in an area where they were previously excluded without mayoral approval, now it's the area between 2nd North, 1st South, 1st East, and 1st West. So sort of permit them in that area.
So we did get one comment.
Actually.
One in favor, one
We got one
against.
in favor and one against.
Yeah.
Right, but the one against was
Parking.
because was related to parking. Can you talk about how, like in a parking lot, it has to be approved by the owners of the parking lot and it would not occur in a public parking lot, is that correct?
That's correct, unless the public entity that owned and operated the parking lot came to some sort of agreement to allow an itinerant merchant. But shared parking is going to be very difficult for folks to put in an itinerant because there's a lot of claims on those parking spaces. Our code requires when these go into parking spaces that 95% of the use be retained. So that's a minimum parking standard has to be retained on site. And yeah, there is that sort of willing seller, willing buyer dynamic here that the property owner would have to be like, yeah, I want to use this space as parking. I prefer an itinerant merchant.
So Aaron, when you said that, how would, say the parking lot that's on 1st East between 2nd North and 1st North, that's owned by the city, that's in the historic district, who would give permission for the itinerant merchant to be there?
Us as Logan City, the mayor would have to give permission.
So we just
we have no precedent for that.
Okay, we
You're
just
talking about the center block park behind the plaza, that parking lot?
No, the one by Ibis.
by where Latoja
Yeah.
does, you know.
I mean, again, for a special event,
That's
they
different.
can come through that process.
Okay,
and do
but
that,
but is there a way that if there were an itinerant, it's such an odd word, it's hard for me to, it's like,
I don't know which one's itinerant or transient. They're both kind of
Yeah, but-
they're not temp merchants.
Things other than a food truck.
so is there a circumstance under which the mayor would still have to approve it in a parking lot situation like that?
Yeah, as an owner or an operator of a parking lot, but that's not approval of a business license. That is authorization to operate at the location.
Okay.
That's different. All transient merchants have to come in with a piece of paper from an owner saying, I may operate here.
Okay,
But that wouldn't affect, that's required as part of the business license, but that doesn't, it's not mayoral approval for the business license itself.
oh, okay, all right, thank you
There's
for
not that
clarifying
many
that.
parking. It's like private parking
No,
downtown.
there's not.
I can think of mine. I have 32 spaces, so that means I could have someone in 1.6 parking stalls.
Right.
Okay. Not that I'm looking to do that, but just for reference. 1.6 parking stalls, yeah. Thank you.
And only not in the spring.
No, not in the spring. No, wrong time of year.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone who wishes to make a comment regarding ordinance 25-02, sorry, my glasses don't work, close. Please come to the podium, state your name, and take 3 minutes or less.
Matthew Bartolozzi, with you in Logan. I would say iterant is a pretty good way of thinking like an iteration since it's a single location there and it's getting cycled through if it doesn't stay there. So iteration, iterant is sort of that kind of mentality. For mobile, it's a little bit different. So I would say use this thing, because you're probably going to pass it. Keep this as like a little litmus test of how much we need public transportation if we're using up a lot of the parking space and parking becomes an issue, but everything within walking distance inside of the town center. I would say as this goes forward throughout the years, I'm sure it'll take a while to get addressed. Yeah, use it as consideration for us, reducing the parking space and keeping it more just, I don't know, food truck lots and everything. Either go.
Thank you.
Josh, here's my record for most attending the podium. Actually, I like this idea, amending this idea or this, because it was a small business, even though they are transient and that small business and a lot of small, other small businesses to be able to contribute to other smaller businesses. And hopefully it gets more people out walking and exploring our downtown more. So, thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no one, we'll bring it back to the council for a decision.
I'll move for approval of ordinance 25-02.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move now to our workshop items. Our first item is 911.
Thanks, Sarah.
Hello. It's my first time up here.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. First of all, thank you guys for your time. We really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you guys today. And I'm just proud to be an employee of Logan City, and I'm proud to wear the logo. So I appreciate everything that you guys do for us. Really. My name is Christy Walker, and I'm the one director. And we dispatch for police, fire, and medical for the entire county. And we also do the non-emergency phone calls as well as animal control for the entire county as well. And I brought with me today Brian Lowe sitting over there. He's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. That's like the truest description. He makes us work, and he's amazing. And then Chief Thompson came to support us as well, and I'm so grateful for him. And then, of course, Chief Simmons. He's just here to look pretty. He tells me that all the time. And he tells me not to embarrass him. So I'll do my best to not embarrass him. It probably won't happen. Anyway, just a little history of our current dispatch agreement that's in place right now. Started in 2002 with a $2 fee that was implemented into everyone's utility bill. And then an additional separate $1 fee in 2013 for our radio fund. And there has been no adjustments on either of those fees since they were implemented at that time. So for 23 years on the $2 fee and for 12 years on the $1 fee, we haven't had any adjustments since then. A little bit about our dispatch center. If any of you have not been, please come and see and what we do and take a look around and a little tour and maybe even sit with the dispatcher for a second to see what we do. It's an amazing place and it's an amazing job, and we have amazing people, and I'm so grateful to be part of it. I've worked there for 20 years. I've been a dispatcher for 20 years, and it's the best decision I've ever made. So I'm grateful to be there with those people and to have that service to give to our citizens. We are funded for 20 full-time positions. Right now we have 14 full-time employees, and we also have one in training, one dispatcher in training. So we have 5 full-time positions that we are down. That's a lot for our dispatch center. One of the reasons why that we're down in staffing right now is because of pay. It's just not, our pay is not competitive for surrounding areas. And so just a little bit of information about that. Fox Elder pays $27.50 as a starting wage. Rich County pays $26 for a starting wage. And Franklin County pays $25 for a starting wage. Our starting wage right now for a dispatcher is $22.85. And back in this past November, it was actually $20.85. And we went down a position from 21 full-time positions to 20 to give an emergency raise to our dispatchers of $2 for, just to elevate all of the dispatchers up $2 to keep a couple of dispatchers from going over the mountain, because it was a $7 difference. And that was successful. We were able to keep those dispatchers, but it's just not enough. We're just not competitive enough with our wages. We're trying to attract quality candidates and quality individuals to be dispatchers. It takes a very special kind of a person, a very specific skill set, and it also takes competitive wages if we want to get and keep those types of employees. Career type, that's what we're looking for. Somebody that wants to do it as a career for a long time. And it's hard to do that when at the time we're paying what they pay in and out. It's difficult to get those types of quality candidates to apply and stay. Our county is growing. I don't need to tell you guys about that. I know that you know that how much our county is growing. We're taking more calls. We're taking about 20,000 more calls than we were 13 years ago, but we have the same staffing level. More calls, more than the same staffing level, and it just isn't going to work for the future. We've got to do something about it, and that's why we're here. Just a little bit about how we're funded. We're an enterprise fund. We pay for ourselves. We get revenue from a couple of different ways, which I'll explain. We get revenue from these types of fees from the utility bill. The $3 that everyone's paying right now is one source of revenue. Another one is on everybody who has a cell phone bill also pays a 911 service fee on your cell phone bill. That is a revenue that comes into the dispatch center. We also get paid by agencies that are not tied to a city. So, for example, Utah Highway Patrol, they're not tied to a city or a utility to get those fees, so they actually pay us to dispatch for them. And Utah State University is another one. They're not necessarily tied to a city or a utility, so they pay us to dispatch for them. We also have the opportunity for grant monies that we always look for. Those are not guaranteed funds, and so we can't use those for wages, but those are some additional ways that we get income for training and anything else that we need to run the dispatch center. So simply put, our proposal, and why we're here for an amendment on the current dispatch agreement, is starting July 1st of 2025 would be a 10% increase for 1 year of 30 cents on that $3. And then for the next 4 consecutive years would be a 3% increase of approximately 10 cents. So it would be a total over a 5-year period ending in the fiscal year, in 2030, so fiscal year 2029. 2030, sorry. I get those confused, sorry. And I just need to give a shout out to Rich and Craig both for not blocking my emails. Chief Simmons has already blocked my emails, but I'm just grateful for those two gentlemen over there that have helped me learn a lot in this last couple of years. But anyway, so it would be a total of 71 cents over a 5-year period per month per household. And our primary intention for those funds is wage increases and increasing our staffing. We have really big goals for the dispatch center. Our city's growing, we need to grow, and so we need to staff more. We need to have more staffing, so we would like to increase that as well. So that's the primary idea for these funds. And from there, I'll open it up for any questions that you guys have for me or the wizards or any of the chiefs.
And just one comment. So Christy and Brian and Chief are going around to all 19 cities in the valley to give the same presentation, make the same request.
This is number 11, so you guys are number 11. We've been around.
So have you been successful?
We have. We have, right, as of right now, we have 8 signed.
Good.
Yeah.
For the
8 approved.
same amount?
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll be the same for everyone. Everyone in the entire county.
So may I ask, I was around when we added the $1.
Yes.
And it was because they were upgrading the statewide radio systems. Sorry.
Brian coordinated that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So is Amy and so is I, yeah, I remember.
I mean, I was around too, but what year was this again?
If you start saying, was I born yet?
I was born in 2013.
2013.
I was married in 2013. Depends on what month we talk about, but I was married. Sorry, keep going.
No, you're fine. It's 2013 for the dollar. Go ahead with your question.
But I was under the impression at that point in time, if I'm remembering correctly, it was because they were upgrading the radio frequency thing for the whole state.
Thing, yeah. We did.
And we had to redo the entire radio operation.
You can ask Rich, we used every dime of that.
We saved up for a
So
long
we saved
time
up
and
so
just
every bit of
recently
it.
completed
So
it, Brian.
my question is, you've done it. Where'd the dollar go?
They're saving it for the next
So,
upgrade in
yeah.
18 years.
And I can have Brian, he's, like I said, he's the wizard and he can explain. He has been, I cannot even tell you how hard this man has been working since November when we did the actual cutover from the 800 megahertz to the new P25 system. It's been that long. Since 2013, we just did the cutover.
I know.
Just this past November.
Because we were last.
Yes.
But do we need to
It'll have
somehow
to be-
change that dollar from the radio fund to
No.
a different?
Because you're going to need an upgrade in
We're going to
15
do an
years.
upgrade again. It is not, technology doesn't stop.
Okay,
It's going
so
to-
so it's not a singular upgrade, it's an ongoing
We
upgrade.
will have to do this again in
15,
10,
yeah,
12,
15 years.
15 years.
That's how
We will
it
have to do this.
I thought, because when it was presented, it was like the magical, this was the biggie.
It is,
They were
it was.
changing it,
And there'll
and
be
it was
another
gonna
one in
be.
15 years.
Another one.
No, but they hadn't done it
But there will be
forever.
another one in 15 years.
They hadn't done it forever before that, so
It's going
that's.
to be brain implants.
The prices of technology, and I'm sure you guys know that too, the prices of technology does not go down. And you also get what you pay for. We're learning that lesson too. So, and not by our fault at all, but the price of technology is not going to go down. So the dollar and the additional percentage that we're asking for will go to the radio. That percentage will go to the radio fund and continue to regrow that so that it's not something that we're coming back and asking for an exorbitant amount of money when it's time. We'll have it.
Okay.
So will it be $1 of the fee or $1 and some change? with
The percentage is total, but it will be separated, if I'm correct, Rich, it'll be separated like that with the,
So the dollar will be separate?
We haven't specified, but right now it's 1/3 of the revenue, so I anticipate we'll do the same thing. in the
It'll be
future.
1/3, okay.
But it's not specified, so
Of all revenue or just this revenue?
just this revenue.
The $3 revenue? Okay.
Okay.
That's just, I just wanted clarification.
Good question.
Semantics.
yes,
Can I ask a question?
absolutely.
So you have your proposals on the bottom of this sheet you sent to us. And with the proposal this year, it would bring an additional $118,000 to the budget. Is that just for Logan City, or is that assuming that every city, is that 118,000 coming just from Logan City? Or is that the same?
It's everyone.
That's everyone.
It's the entire county.
Okay, so it's assuming that everyone adopts this, that it'll be 118,000 increase to the budget.
And is that going to get us to the
and
level
that's-
of Brigham?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask, because that's only like a $2 an hour raise. And then you get like another, like if you dump all of it into your 15 full times, you get $2 an hour more. And you're still $2 an hour under
We
Brigham
knew,
and,
we knew going into this that we weren't going to be able to necessarily match.
Sure.
But we're just trying to get within that striking distance that would make it be a pain to drive over the canyon,
Yeah.
to be honest.
I mean, it gets you halfway to there.
Right, I mean, it's better than where we were in November, and we're
Yeah.
grateful for that.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm an idiot for asking, is it enough?
You can ask anything.
I mean, if we're that uncompetitive with wages, I don't know, I'm just,
Although the wages in 911 are significantly low, they're not that different from every single department in the city of Logan.
okay.
So, while these are lower, and this will come up, but we have the same issue everywhere. There's just not enough money, just like in your home budget. There isn't enough money for those clubs.
You and my wife, man. You and my wife. I mean, I'm just asking, is it enough? Because 60 cents isn't like the biggest increase in someone's budget, and so.
We believe this will go a long way
Okay.
toward wages and hopefully retaining that one first position.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Anybody else?
Nothing for me.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Christie.
She's very polished now. She's done 11 of these, right? They're getting easier and easier.
Should have put with us, though.
Should be a three.
Mark.
Should be a $3.
Standing in the back of the room staring at us.
He has a shirt and tie on. He knows he's official today.
He always has a shirt and tie on.
Not yesterday. He was in jeans yesterday.
Not Richard Craig better than me.
I don't know if the shirt and tie is.
Oh.
Welcome.
Thanks.
He's looking at you, Eugene.
I guess I didn't come with any prepared presentation. I feel like we've talked and presented. I'm just here to answer questions.
And I think, if I could maybe just add one thing at the start. I mean, I know the proposal has 15 megawatts. Again, this is significantly down. That's half of what we had requested earlier. One thing you might consider, I mean, I know you could amend that. I mean, you could stick with the 15, but one other option would be perhaps to go up to 18 megawatts, because that is the amount, that would match what we're losing from, remind me of the, basically when those, and that's 20, when do those go offline?
One goes off in just like a year and a half, 2 years.
Hey, look at the stuff.
It depends on who's the president, if it's 2032 or 2042.
So again, that would be something I would maybe just put out for the council to think about if you're at all interested in it.
Well, that was part of why we picked 15 for the solar project.
Right.
Was because at 1/3, it would provide that gap.
But again, as you've talked to, as you've heard before, when we go to this next day energy market, we only get credit for a portion of the solar we put in.
1/3.
But if it's base load, which is natural gas, we just have more to put in. I mean, we'd get more credit for it, so.
But the solar gets counted as base load at 1/3.
At 30%?
In the market, but the reality is that we could put 100 megawatts of solar in the city and cover all of our needs in August during a peak day. I still gotta have something to back that up.
Right, at night. And then
You can put 200 megawatts, it doesn't matter.
The sun goes down.
I want to.
So the sun goes
Well, and again, one thing we'll be looking at as Mark and I talk about this, putting this proposal for solar together is, and I mentioned, we have a real life example of the project in Box Elder County. If I understand, it was down for like 2 weeks in January. We didn't get any production. I mean, it has battery, but you also have to have.
Actually, that one doesn't.
Well, that one doesn't. Thank you for that correction. So, but again, you can't recharge your batteries if you don't have solar either.
I guess I would have a few sentences to say.
There we go.
Well, one, baseload power is hard to come by. Coal, obviously, no. It's dirty and it's being phased out. It's going, plants are closing. Natural gas, which is less than half the emissions of coal, is really, other than nuclear and geothermal and hydro, and you're not going to build another dam in the United States. So hydro is not a viable option. Nuclear is, optimistically, 10, 15 years out.
They're going to have it on the back of a pickup truck before the Olympics come.
They're going to have it in egg in your house, remember?
And the geothermal projects we've looked at have been 1 megabyte, or 1
Yeah,
megawatt, 2 megawatts.
And I think I've told the
Can't
council
even
this
get
before.
those.
I've had a half a dozen geothermal people come through my office and want me to sign a letter of intent so they can work on the financing to further their projects. I never hear from them again. And the ones that I thought were going to go, they up and disappeared because they went to higher price markets. Didn't even negotiate, just left. Right? So I guess it comes back to the contrast you heard from Nathaniel and Tyson the other night. If you're a gambler, maybe you take a lower amount and hope that something comes into place in the next 10, 15 years, which is possible. Or Nathaniel's more conservative. He's like, I know what this is. It's cleaner than coal, and it's really the only viable option right now. So let's do this. At 18 megawatts, you're replacing lost capacity. That doesn't do anything for the growth that we're experiencing, load growth that we're experiencing in the city. So just keep that in mind.
Also doesn't do anything for that electric aircraft we saw.
Yeah.
But,
They're going to take power. They're
so,
gonna suck power.
just so that the people on television and here are aware, I polled all of our council members, and the number 15 megawatts is sort of in the middle of what everyone was talking about. And it is by no means a set amount. It is entirely up to this group to decide if or how much they would like to do.
Okay.
So,
I think for me, I think that those considerations of how do we replace the Hunter and the Sunnyside? How do we make sure we're meeting those capacity requirements, but yet how are we still making sure that we leave room for the potential of other sources that are not carbon producing? And that's the space that I'm sitting in when we've talked about this, like between the.
Sure. What I don't understand is why we feel that it is like holding us back from getting something else, because I feel like it opens more doors for us to explore, because we're not looking for where our next megawatt's coming from. We already have it.
But we are
And then we
committing
go out and
money.
look.
We are
Yeah, but
committing.
it's money we're going to spend for power anyway. I mean, it's money we're spending for power anyway. So it's like, it's not limiting our ability to go out and find more. I think it opens doors for us to find more.
but we might not need more.
And so,
Yeah.
And I'm not an expert
We're going to need more.
on this. I know that Tyson and I have had this conversation numerous times, and I wish he was here, because I'm going to put words in his mouth, and he can't. But my understanding from what Tyson has said, and I talked to him after RESAP, I believe it was last Friday, his opinion was 0 to 15 megawatts is, in his view, acceptable with natural gas. He still leans closer to the 0, but he felt like, and Mark, maybe you have a different opinion in your discussions, but he felt like 15 was kind of the limit where we were limiting our options in the future with what we could participate in.
According to his analysis.
According to Tyson's analysis.
It is very good.
Which is, he's smarter than I am. So I'm not going to argue with his analysis. So I don't build spreadsheets on my Christmas break.
and to your point, Mark, this is my opinion, it's not so much that we won't necessarily need more power. We know that the growth is going to happen whether we like it or not, but we're tying ourselves for the next 30 years to this project for whatever amount that we decide.
Yeah.
And so, and we're closing the door, plus reducing the opportunity for those that are seeking to potentially create those projects. Because as business people are, they're going to build whatever they can sell.
Yeah.
If everybody's tied up on contracts for the next 30 years, why would they create a project that they don't know they can sell?
See, and I feel like it creates more opportunity for us to search for the options that we're looking for. Because when you have what you need, it allows for you to go out and look for other opportunities, something that's maybe less expensive, something that's more desirable. But if you're looking for 10 megawatts because you don't have it, you end up having to take whatever shows up at your door.
But if you have already paid for the other,
Your money's
gone.
But we're only paying for it as we use it. Isn't that correct?
Well, you're paying
committed to
You're committed to it.
You're going to pay the fixed cost.
Yeah, you're going
And I
to
talked
pay fixed costs,
to,
yeah.
I don't know if anyone else was on our email thread, I talked to Nathaniel about this, that we have fixed costs for all these plants that we participate in. And was it Hunter or Sunnyside that you got me the number of? It's $100,000 roughly a month. Fixed cost whether we run it or not. And so, I mean, that's $1.2 million a year for that one plant. Even if we find a better option, we're still committed at minimum to that $1 million a year.
But we can
to just
have it
sit there and not use
we
it.
can put it on the market.
Sure, but we're still producing
We'll
and
be able to
selling
take it, we'll be able to
fossil
take it, put it on the
fuels.
market and actually sell it to somebody else and use it.
But I think
So I'm looking forward to this day before. And if we have the right amount of capacity and we have excess capacity, we'll be able to go and find better prices on the market if we do it that way. And if we don't, then we just use what we've got.
But so it fills the financial piece, but it's still the carbon producing.
But you're still 60% less carbon than you are with the coal we've got right
Correct.
now. So it's like it increases our green And it gives us the financial stability that we actually have the power, and it prevents us from having to implement surcharges for our customers because the volatility of the market goes up and down. If we're relying on the market, then we're kind of taking a risk. So, yeah.
So back in December, January, when this first came to us, I got the impression that it was, we have to sign up for this, otherwise it's going to be gone, somebody else is going to sign up for whatever we don't take. Why is it still on the table?
So there's a couple of reasons. One is, since we didn't take, so they have to build that plant to a certain size, right? It's got to be 320-ish megawatts. So they need to subscribe that amount in order to build the plant. So we pulled back 30 megawatts, and they had to go out and find other takers, which they have. The other stuff circulates around a decision by FERC, Federal Electric Regulatory Commission, about a decision about Rocky Mountain Power and some of their tariffs. And that decision we thought would be made sooner than it has been made, which I don't know. A federal agency that hasn't made a decision in a timely fashion is hard to believe, but that's what's happened here. So that has delayed that decision. In fact, I don't know if they thought they were going to make that in early January, and they still haven't, FERC is still not ruled on that tariff.
So that was part of the hurry?
It was. They're trying to get ahead of that thing, so.
So it had to be committed before the tariff was enacted, or?
Well, once it was enacted, then UMS actually has to wait for that to enact in order to move the project forward. So they can't move until FERC makes this decision. And they thought it was going to be made, and then they could move forward. They wanted to move quickly because every city in UMS needs and wants this energy. They don't have baseload energy available to them, or at least nothing new. And they're all facing retired coal plants and other plants. So, I mean, like I said, they were trying to finish subscribing the plant. They have done that. But they've written the contracts with some of these other entities that if we want in for whatever, we still can get our share.
So the 30 megawatts that was originally on the table has already been distributed?
Yeah, and there was actually some more because they were still trying to finish. So I didn't want to get into a contract discussion. It was in the contract, power sales contract that you all received as part of this originally, that in order for UMS to move the project forward for the other members, they had to get 85% subscription. They have reached that and they've surpassed that, but there's still some room in there for us to pass.
Okay. So they don't need this.
At the time, they needed our 30 megawatts to reach that 85%.
Yeah.
They don't need it anymore.
They don't need it.
Do they need any megawatts from us to go forward?
They would like to, yeah.
They would like it, but do they need
But
it?
it's 85% subscribed now, correct? Yeah. So we would be great.
I think it's more than that, but I'm not sure exactly what that percentage is.
But they're past the threshold.
So we could vote no and they could still move forward?
You can do whatever you want.
So we could vote for 30 if we
And
wanted,
I'll deal with it.
potentially. So,
Yeah, we have a 0 to 30.
You told me 38.
38?
Is that what you told me? We could go up to 38 if we wanted, no? But that was at that point.
I don't remember.
I'm making your window bigger. If you
We're
want.
in a 0 to 30 window.
I'm just telling you.
We felt like 30 megawatts was what was needed in our growth projections. And admittedly, Tyson did his, his analysis and made his spreadsheet, and it did. It was a good analysis, and it opened our eyes. Okay, maybe we could do with a little less, and we can work a little harder on doing something.
so 15, 18 is that, like, I'm hearing 18 is what, your preferred minimum?
That would replace.
I know she said 30 is her preferred, but I'm just trying to get a gauge, like.
Well, at 18, you're replacing power that you're going to lose. You're not accounting for any growth in the city or low growth or anything else.
So so the 18 is
We
the
have
Hunter's
other-
County side.
Other resources, for example, in Springville, we have, I think, I'm going to say it wrong. I think we have 18 megawatts from a natural gas plant in Springville, and that plant's 20 years old, so it's reaching end of life as well. And it's already a natural gas plant, and it's been a really good resource for us.
What happens to them when they get to end of life?
You can either kind of do a major overhaul and rebuild them, or you decommission it, tear down.
And then those transmission lines are just zombie
Somebody will take
transmission
it.
lines.
Somebody will take those lines.
Transmission is the shortage in this
Yeah,
whole
I know.
power picture. My guess is, due to the water rights and the transmission, that something will be done at that site. Whether it's another natural gas plant or something else becomes more viable. It's doubtful a nuclear would be put there because they don't have a containment, big enough containment zone around that plant. There's too much
It's going to be on a truck.
Stuff.
Maybe.
I got told that the last
Can't
week.
be on a truck.
It's going to be on a semi. Be able to drive around.
I don't know if I want that.
I don't
Are you
either.
seeing the way people drive?
Especially those people from Idaho.
Shots fired.
Does anybody have any other questions of Mark tonight?
Does the selected location have any issues with air quality?
No, it's in Miller County, or excuse me, Power County. I'm getting the two mixed up. Power County is up to Pocatello. It's very much a wide open farmland with other, I think there's some other solar facilities surrounding it. It's near substations.
So they don't have problems with inversions or?
No.
We're the only lucky
The
ones.
wind
with that.
blows there all the time.
Yeah, today it's always windy there.
Wind blows there all the time.
Yeah, we're the lucky ones. So, anybody else?
Do you feel like our discussion yesterday changes the 15 number on here at all? Obviously, it's very new information, and we haven't actually got a proposal from them. And
I think I emailed you, my feeling is 15 is the absolute minimum, but we'd certainly take more if council felt that way.
And that discussion yesterday doesn't change that request for 15, okay?
I like the 18, at least we're replacing lost generation.
Anything else? Thanks, Mark.
Does
What?
Nathaniel have anything important that he feels like he needs to add? Nothing new?
So-
You've been sitting over there looking interested.
Well, and I think he
I-
sent council some
has.
emails, which hopefully you've seen.
I'm just wondering if there was,
So, we'll see you in 2 weeks?
Maybe.
Let's do it. Mark might not show up this time, so.
Oh, come
I'll
on.
be here.
We haven't beaten you up that badly. We haven't.
I'll be here.
And I will contain the rest. I promise.
Good luck.
We do definitely appreciate you though, Mark. I hope that's one of your takeaways tonight.
Yes.
it's been a lot of work, thanks. And thank you.
And we learned more about power than I ever thought I would ever know.
And you just scratched it.
I know, that's true. I know. Our last item this evening, and despite other considerations that might happen, is from Rich.
3 items to consider. A request to appropriate $4,387 as a reimbursement for damage to a sign pole. Request to appropriate $4,736 for fire department EMS training. And a request to decrease the budget by $272,905. This is that tree grant that we had and then we no longer have.
Okay.
And so it's going away.
Is there any
That's me dropping
hope
my
of it
pen.
coming back? Because I know some of that national stuff has been, I had whiplash some days,
We've had other ones that have put us a little bit on hold and
and
then.
then come back, but we don't think this one has
I
any
don't
chance.
So I think this one's dead and done.
Cool.
Yeah, Emily.
Good way to end the night.
It was not going to come back.
1,000 trees down the toilet.
It's too bad.
Are there any other considerations? I do have one thing I was going to say. Anybody else can go first.
I put mine early, out of line.
Anybody else? I did receive an email today from CAPSA, and I thought that it would be appropriate to share the fact that they are very concerned about their funding sources. And it was a request for help, financial help.
To the council or to you as an individual?
To me as an individual.
I got one too. Yeah, I got one too.
So I just think that we should be aware that everybody's having whiplash and is on edge, and it's going to get hard. So that's all. Anybody else?
And I know they're not, just like the warming center numbers are up, their numbers are up too. So I think when you see financial stresses, unfortunately, we see domestic violence incidents as well.
Yep, I agree.
This is something we can take care of on the state level, apparently.
Well, we can't, but the state relies on the federal government, and, you know, it's sort of like a big chain.
That was my sarcastic remark for tonight.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned.
It was soft, thank you.
That was a soft,
I leaned
that
back
was a
on it.
soft